Y'all ready for this?
So I thought since I've pretty much played all the video games, I like that's what I love about them is the video games because they're just always good. So I thought I'd go through pretty much just like the video games and not any of the spin-offs that are usually crappy, like the legit like classic style games that have made the genre so popular. Um, Sorry it's shaking so much. I'm on my bed because it's kind of the only, I guess it's like the only thing I can really do in my room, except I mean I could be on the desk, but I don't know, I prefer being in bed. So back to Pokemon. So I thought I'd start with, where it all started. So the first two games that came out, Red and Blue, these were the first two games in America started a whole crazy phenomenon because they were able to do this with an anime show and the trading cards and everything was just so cool. Like they definitely promoted it well and got everyone into it. Like everyone I know is into Pokemon. After the amazing success of Red and Blue, they came out with version Yellow, which was a remake of Red and Blue that um, basically incorporated elements of the anime show. You just got a Pikachu, and when you fought Team Rocket, Jesse, James, and the Elf would always be there, and there were things like that that made Yellow different. And that was, even though everybody had played Red and Blue, that was just amazingly successful again, and somehow they sold so many copies of it. So then those were really popular, and everyone loved the game and the TV show and stuff like that. So they made the next actual sequels, Gold and Silver, which were on the Game Boy Color. Like it kept everything that was great about Pokemon, but it improved so many things. Like you could breed Pokemon and then they'd make eggs and the eggs would hatch and then they made a bunch of like pre-evolutions, so if you breeded with a Pikachu you get a Pichu. It was just the coolest thing ever. Just stuff like that just made it an incredible sequel. They made this was where they introduced the version specific legendary Pokemon, so if you had Gold you would get Ho-Oh, if you had Silver you would get Lugia. And that was a really cool. I don't know why that made such a big, that was such a big deal, but I don't know, for some reason it was because that made you want to pick a certain version. And I remember it was the best Christmas gift I've ever gotten. Was when I was 9. I got a Game Boy Color that was green because green was my absolute favorite color, and I got Pokemon Gold, and it was the greatest Pokemon. It was the greatest Christmas gift ever. So then, kind of following in the footsteps of. After Red and Blue, they make Yellow. After Gold and Silver, they make Crystal, which was, again, super awesome. They sort of they tweak things just enough. They made, a new battle tower, which was literally you just walk in and battle trainers, and you have to, fight your way to the top, and then, if you make it to the top, you get a certain, prize or whatever, and it was ridiculously hard. You could play as a girl, which really incorporated that feel of you are the Pokemon trainer. You are this trainer trying to be the Pokemon master, and it brought you into the game more, especially if you were a girl. Then, after that, they made Ruby and Sapphire on the Game Boy Advance, and these were the first games in the Game Boy Advance, and they were so far superior to the Game Boy Color games, because they were so much more technologically advanced. There were, of course, 100 or so new Pokemon, a new region to explore, things like that. I remember I got Ruby. When it came out, I thought it was the coolest thing ever, and then I went back and played another game from that generation. I actually played Emerald not too long ago. Not that great, and it actually going back and playing it later, it's probably the weakest of the Pokemon games. So after Ruby and Sapphire, they went back to Red and Blue, and for some reason decided to remake them, even though it hadn't been that long and didn't really need to remake them, but whatever. And they made Fire Red, and for some reason they didn't do a blue, they did Leaf Green with Game Boy Advance technology, so it looked way better. It did actually really improve on the game, and you basically just played through Red and Blue, and then at the end there were like a couple of extra regions to explore, and it was good, not bad. And then after that they made Emerald, which was of course the third game to the Ruby Sapphire generation, and just little things. I think they added a new legendary, and I think that was kind of all they did. It wasn't a huge leap forward. It really wasn't. But yeah, like I said, I played that not too long ago. Not that great. So anyway, then the DS came out, the generation that's out now. Where's... In case you guys don't know, this is a DS. Yeah, I think you guys have seen me playing it. You have two screens, DS, double screen. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. Sorry. So the DS came out, so they had to make a Pokemon game for that. So they made Diamond and Pearl, which basically just a new region, a new world to explore, and yeah, it had new Pokemon. They kind of like tried to incorporate the dual screen. They had like, you had this, I think they called it a Pokétech, and it was like this little wristwatch that you had, and it was like it was basically on the bottom screen, and it had little things like it had an item finder. You would have like the status of your Pokemon, like its HP and stuff like that. They tried using the touch screen and it just didn't work, but it was still a fun game. They had a lot of good Pokemon, like just a lot of great starters, especially the starters. Complete that triad, they had Platinum, which was basically the only thing they really did was it was kind of like Emerald. They added a legendary, and it actually was kind of a cool way that they did it. You had to go into this distortion world to get it, and it was actually, that's the one I played, and it was actually really fun, and it's just a good generation of Pokemon. It's a great game. So anyway, last spring, they came out with Heart Gold and Soul Silver, which were remakes of Gold and Silver, sort of following that, like Fire Red, Leaf Green. Now they have Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and they were just really great. They finally like figured out how to use the touchscreen well, and that was just a fun game, especially since Heart and Gold is probably my favorite Pokemon. They're my favorite Pokemon games, and so for them to remake them on the DS was super exciting. Okay, so now we're at Black and White, which basically is the newest games. They're really trying to do is like bring it back to the original Red and Blue. Like there's Black and White, which are the first time there have been actual colors since Red, Blue, and Yellow. Since then they've always been like gems or some type of like material. And so now you've got like colors, even though technically Black and White are shades. So it's sort of that like they're sort of going back to the beginning, but it's still different. It's still advanced. Like none of the old 493 Pokemon are in Black and White. You won't encounter any of the old Pokemon until you beat the game. There's a lot of cool differences between Black and White. Black's supposed to be more like technology driven and like much more like modern age, whereas White's more natural. The legendaries are really cool. What they did with it is like, the one for Black is this white fire type Pokemon, and it's like supposed to look like feminine but like very majestic, and it's just got this like majestic beauty to it. Whereas for White they have this Black Thunder or electric type Pokemon, where it's very masculine and it's very powerful. That's the thing, is like it's supposed to look powerful, and it's just a really cool way that they made these Pokemon look like that, and they really put a lot of thought into them. So that's Pokemon Black and White, and that comes out tomorrow. So I'm super excited about it. So by the way, good luck on midterms, everyone. I know Chelsea, you've already had yours. You're on spring break. Freaking lucky. Yeah. Oh, and onto the Pokemon tour. I don't know what dates I said it was in the video last week. I looked it up. It's the 19th and 20th. So Pam, that doesn't fall into your spring break thing. So I mean, if you guys are in town, it'd be cool. So I know Caitlin's into it. I think Taylor, you said you wanted to. I don't know if you still do. Maybe. So yeah, and it's all free, which is good. So yeah, hope you guys just have, you know, good luck with your midterms and stuff like that, and a fun spring break, Chelsea, and I'll see most of you next week, hopefully. Especially like Pam and Paisley, we should like hang out when we get into town. Me and Taylor are driving in on Friday, so we should hang out like that night, because it'd be really awesome, because I miss you guys. So, yeah, that's pretty much that, and we can talk about everything when we meet up. And so, yeah. So, have a good week. Bye, guys.